Hello, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at 10 top teams kinda for the Fantasy Cup. Fantasy Cup is going to be available for 1 week, only going to allow you to run Fairy type Pokemon, Steel type Pokemon or Dragon type Pokemon, making it a very small meta cup, and this is going to be a little bit of an issue for the teams that we have here as well, but it was still usually a fun cup to play. I definitely enjoyed the last time we had this cup around. Otherwise, you're still going to have the Open Great League around, so depending on how many people are interested in this one, I might just stick to Open Great League again. But yeah, anyway, if you enjoy this type of videos, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It is free, helps out the channel, and we can go straight into the meta. Taking a look at the Fantasy Cup meta, what we're going to see here is a very small meta. Azumarill is going to be on top. I think Bubble Buff was actually not the thing on the last time around this cup was available. We have Nature's Matters on Tapu Fini, which is a new move that came in as well for this meta compared to the last time around. Steel Wing got buffed, so Empoleon is now a little bit higher up. We're going to have a team with this Pokemon as well. Lucario got access to Thunder Punch, which is also a new update towards this meta. So like actually a lot of things kind of changed for this one. Of course, it is kind of clear that this meta is not going to be the most diverse meta for sure. Giratina got into this meta as well as the Heatran. So like two Pokemon that are recently just got added are now available for this one and are actually very good for this. Skami, especially the Shadow variant here as well, going to be very cool, new update, but anything else kinda really loses a lot of score. Like the score kinda usually shows you on how good the Pokemon is in the meta, and if you're gonna see here, it goes down already to below 80 at rank 26 here, which is really showing basically that there's only really a top tier meta and anything else below kinda falls off quite fast here. And so basically just like the top 20, top maybe 30 Pokemon are things that you should most likely consider for the most part for the meta. And so it's a very small one compared, for example, to the Great League here. To try to get to the below 80 score, like you have to scroll quite a bit, and then you're going to be here at 270 and not like 26. So yeah, very small meta basically. Some new additions. Let's take a look at the teams. Moving on, we're going to have here now the first team, and again, as said before as well, most likely we have here quite a small meta, and so you're going to see a lot of the Pokemon coming up in different teams in different orders, and that is not my fault. It is just because the meta itself is quite a bit small. Anyway, Azumarill, Flygon, Turtonator worked out super well the last time this cup was available, and I think it still should work out quite well. Azumarill being the only hard answer to this team, which doesn't actually apply too much towards it, because Azumarill, of course, in the lead is going to be a mirror matchup. Then you're going to have the Flygon, which is going to be actually a quite decent matchup for the Shadow Flygon. Shadow Flygon is kind of needed in my opinion, but Scorching Sands plus Mudshot actually allows you to sometimes flip the matchup, especially if they're not running Ice Beam, which makes them a little bit slower on the Azumarill, and then you can try to sweep endgame with a Turtonator. For sure, a team that worked out super well the last time this cup was around. One issue for this one since then is that Skarmory got the buff to Steel Wing as far as I know, and this is going to make this a little bit worse to run because Azumarill is going to be a little bit trickier, but also Flygon has now quite a decent hard counter, which I would imagine going to be a little bit more common as well then. But for sure, solid team here, proven pretty decent. Also, something new as well, of course, that Giratina that you can use in the backline there as well if you want to. Next team, honestly, something that's going to be quite interesting, especially when Force Bomb going to be released on Lucario. Counter, of course, is going to be kind of doing the same, but one other option, or like one other change compared to the last time is, of course, that Thunder Punch is now on Lucario, giving it access to a move that hits super effective on Azumarill, as well as some of the other Water-type Pokemon that are currently floating around here, like the Tapu Fini. And so Lucario has some decent play there as well, and I could actually see it being the better Say Swap maybe even for this team. Like, Exclude in the back, it can be kind of cool as well, can be good as a Say Swap, but yeah, Lucario has a lot of potential. Basically, all the Steel-type Pokemon you can see there in the back can be anything. Can be Say Swap, can be a Closer, like all of them have kind of similar roles, so like you can choose freely if you want to run Lucario Say Swap, Excadrill in the back, Excadrill Say Swap, get Registeel in the back. It doesn't really make too much of a difference for this team, but again, like you're going to see a lot of Azumarill, Tapu Fini teams there as well, because those Pokemon are just quite overpowered for this meta. Team number 3, honestly, my favorite one from the last season is going to be Berserker with Trailblaze, because Berserker with Trailblaze is going to be able to beat quite a lot. Also, of course, Tapu Fini got Nature's Madness, making this Pokemon even better for this meta. But yeah, Trailblaze variant of Berserker are going to allow you to destroy something like the Azumarill, while still having also coverage for something like a Registeel or Galarian Stunfisk, because you're going to have access to close combat. And so this team looks like a nearly perfect one. Only issue is here really Magnezone, to be fair. Like Weezing I would not even classify as a big issue either. Like you're still going to have some play with all of your Pokemon against the Weezing. So like I wouldn't even say that this is an issue. The one big issue for sure is going to be Magnezone that you can still beat if you encounter it in the lead. But it is definitely a little bit of a trickier one to deal with. But still, this was my favorite team last season, so hopefully, or like I think it's 2 seasons ago actually. So this team still should work out quite well for this season. This one is going to be again one that's going to be a little different compared to the last season, because now we have Empoleon here all of a sudden. And honestly, Empoleon is quite an overpowered Pokemon and very strong in this meta as well. Like you have a lot of good targets, especially the Azumarill, Tapu Fini Pokemon there. They are very, very common now, and I would imagine that Empoleon also gonna rise a little bit more. Here we have, of course, have the Tapu Fini again, as well as the Giratina. There are other Pokemon that you can use as well in the back, instead of Giratina. You can use Turtonator most likely as well, like any kind of Dragon-type Pokemon, basically just taking advantage of the near-perfect core of having an Empoleon then lead as a Steel-type and a Dragon-type Pokemon in the back that can resist Fighting-type damage. Here, Giratina, as you can see on the right side, is just one of the strongest Pokemon in the meta right now, so it's kind of the perfect match. If you don't have it, run something like a Flygon would work out. Of course, it doesn't have the resistance to counter, which is kind of cool. You have access to Dragonite as well. Dragonite is just a little bit of a trickier one to use this meta here. Most likely a little bit better than Dragonair, because you have coverage on Dragonite at least for the Steel typing. Team number 5 here, we're going to have a team again which is going to be kind of similar to what we saw before as well, but this time around kind of flipped. You can use Azumarill, you can use Turtonator. Double Steel backline is kind of solid. Azumarill is going to be a little bit more consistent, allowing you to also beat something like a Flygon a little bit easier, but Turtonator going to give you also some kind of cool matchups against Pokemon like the Lucario, makes it a little bit easier against a lot of other Pokemon here, as you can see how nicely it burns down all the Steel-type Pokemon. But yeah, again, Berserker Swap is very safe in the current meta. With Trailblaze, please be aware of Trailblaze. Don't go for Foul Play. I don't see the player for Foul Play, but for people currently, Foul Play is the recommended moveset, which I don't agree with. But let's move on to team number 6. Here we're going to have a team that's based around Haxorus. Haxorus actually has some decent play in this meta, having access to Breaking Swipe and Surf, going to allow you to do quite a lot of damage and also quite fast. Also, like having a Dragon-type Pokemon that has Counter is kind of cool, because again, we have a Steel-type meta here, and so Counter is quite lovely for that regard there. You can also decide to go over for the Earthquake instead of the Surf, allowing you to hit Fairy-type Pokemon for some more neutral damage, for Galarian Weezing for super effective damage. Really depends on what you want to do. Sometimes you can even flip then matchups if you have Earthquake on this Pokemon. But anyway, Haxorus looks like a lot of fun. There's going to be another Haxorus team coming up, but I'm going to talk about this when that's going to happen. Team number 7 is going to be the Magnezone or the Melmetal in the lead. Melmetal, go for Double Iron Bash in Superpower. If you take a look at the meta, Double Iron Bash Superpower hits literally everything for at least neutral damage, if not super effective damage, and honestly it's a very cool move combination. I think there's actually not a single Pokemon here on the list, or at least I can see that it resists both of the moves. So Melmetal actually has a lot of play, like a lot of play, which I may maybe actually take a look at as well again. Magnezone, of course, going to be the more meta approach there, which is going to be also very good, because I would imagine that Skarmory and Empoleon get a little bit more usage. Then again, say some of Tapu Fini or Azumarill, just very standard, very classic, very strong. And in the back, we're going to have the Turtonator just in case. Basically, what we kind of want to do is we kind of want to play out the lead, try to win switch advantage if possible, and then just hardwall whatever they have in the back. If they have something like a Ferrothorn, just try to burn it down with the Turtonator. If they have something like, I don't know, like a Dragon type, just go ahead and go into the Tapu Fini / Azumarill and you're going to be fine. So that's kind of how you want to play this team. And we can move on to team number 8. Here I just want to have a little bit of fun. And there's also going to be the last few teams going to be a little bit more fun. Like, they're still kind of decent, especially like one of them that's still coming up. But here I want to try to build a team around Heatran. Surprisingly enough, the best core is with Giratina Origin, and then you're going to just put like another legendary Pokemon in there, just sort of a legendary trio. But look at what this team can do. Honestly, it can beat anything. Like, it's actually a really, really good team. Against Magnezone, you still win with the Heatran in the 2-shield scenario. Against Azumarill, you still win with the Giratina in the 2-shield scenario. Like, you're still going to have so much play against the entire meta, and so having a triple legendary team might be something we'll take a look at, because I feel like that is very, very overpowered here right now. But let's move on to the 9th team here, which is still going to be a very solid one. What is this team, you might think? Why is it like this? Why do you have a triple weakness to ground type moves? This is a team that consists of the best lead, the best Saisob, and the best closer, being Excadrill Saisob, Galarian Weezing in the lead, and the Registeel as a closer. Is it a great team together? We might find out on the channel, who knows? I think it actually still could work out quite well, but of course you have to be a little bit careful with potential ground type Pokemon. But if you think about it, most of them are going to be weak against your backline anyway, and Weezing is going to have Overheat against like the Steel type Pokemon in the meta as well, and also Fairy Wind for like the Dragon type Pokemon, and Sludge for also the Azumarils of this meta. So like Weezing has like coverage against anything, and so I feel like this team definitely should still work out, even though it is definitely weak against Flygon. But yeah, again, this is more of a fun one. This is like based on PvPoke, the best lead, the best save, or the best closer. But yeah, let's move on to team number 10, which is not a serious team at all. This is going to be the highest attack team, but honestly, I feel like it has some play. Here's the thing as well, like I could make another like 2 teams that look basically the same as the ones that you saw before. You know already that the meta is going to be very, very small, so I found like kind of more funny to take a look at some off-meta options here. And Katana actually was really good for me the last time I played with this Pokemon here, because the meta was very weak to it. I kind of doubt that it's going to be the same again this time around, because I feel like the meta kind of shifted towards some other Pokemon that might be a little bit problematic. Like Ganondorf is going to be the, I think, 3rd highest attacker, and then I think you're going to have Hexorus as like the 2nd highest attacker, but like they're very close. Like Ganondorf and Hexorus basically have the same attack stat, and Katana definitely going to be an interesting Pokemon there for sure. You're going to have a lead that's going to be able to beat those Azumarill Tapu Finis. You're going to have a Saisob that can do this most likely as well, and then you're going to have Hexorus in the back trying to beat those Steel type Pokemon. But of course, it's more of a fun team to use. Don't think it's really serious or anything like this, but I think still it's a fun one to try out if you want to have fast builds. But this is going to be it for this video. There's going to be very likely another video for top teams for the Great League, because a lot more people had Legend, including myself. If you have not seen the video, it's going to be on the screen right now. Check it out, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.